It is good to have you back. This is Democracy and the Rule of Law on Galaxy Television. It's a program where we discuss topical issues both locally and internationally from the eyes of the law. And as usual, we have legal practitioners in the house today who will be talking to us and bisecting and dissecting, if you wish, on this topic. I have Barrister Elvis Asia, a regular on the show. Good to have you, Johnson. Today. And you're a master of a petroleum and gas, so we will really pick your brain on that today. Good to have you, join us, Barrister James Ononiwu. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's go straight to the talking point. I don't want to start reintroducing the topics all over again. Let's just have your general overview on this whole Sunday thing from the assumed suspected arms men, and of course before the DSS came in to clarify the report that they were the one, but they were not looking like DSS. It was looking like armed men or headsmen, or your states, just like some of the southwestern states have been ravaged by conflicts of herdsmen and farmers, and Sunday Igboho has been at the forefront of the fights, trying to act like a savior for the Yoruba people against the herdsmen. So when his home was invaded, it was looking more like, okay, another herdsman attack, and then the DSS came in to say they were the one that raided his house based on intelligence reports that he's dealing with arms and ammunition. What's your take on that?
Well, the first thing I will say is that this issue of various personalities like Igbo and others across the country coming up to agitate for secession in different parts of the country, it's simply a symptom of a problem. It's really not a problem. And if you really look at it, these are opportunists, people who are cashing in on the problems that we have. And the way we are dealing with it as a nation also demonstrates that we are really giving in to opportunists. We're allowing criminal demanded people to take over the country. If you look at it constitutionally and even naturally, people have the right to secession. The right to secede, it's really part of our laws. If you look at the fact that the African Charter Impose Rights has that kind of provision which has been incorporated into local laws. And so unless you can show that Igbo, for example, is perpetrating crime in terms of acting outside of the bounds of civility and the law, then he has the right to do whatever he wants to do, to make noise about secession, to do rallies and gather people together. But if you can show that he's doing something wrong, legally speaking, DSS, for example, are claiming that he had guns, arms and ammunition in his house. But it's difficult to believe a government agency today because of the lack of transparency in the way and manner agency of states have been dealing with Nigerians. So it's difficult to believe then that he had guns stored in his house. I think it would be very good. It would be very funny for somebody like that to be storing guns.
Exactly.
When you know for a fact that you can be raided at any time by security agencies, and we also understand. I have had a client that was a victim of policemen planting guns in his house. So it's really neither here nor there. So who do you believe? I think what is important is that we have to ensure that we act within the bound. We're not even sure of those who invaded. Like you said, there are, feelers. Some people are saying that, they may have been Fulani herdsmen, perhaps an attempt by security agencies to douse the tension. So you don't even know what to believe. I think the way out is simply for government to come down to doing things within the bounds of the law and respecting the rights of Nigerians to protest. Protesting is not a crime. Unless you see them violating, maybe destroying vehicles on the road or stealing on the road, they have the right to protest. If we say we're in a democracy, then we have to. This is one of the one of the what do you call it? One of the
benefits
of democracy. The fact that people can speak out when they need to speak out. If you want to prevent them from speaking out, they're going to have more Igbos. You're going to have more Unadi Kanus. You're going to have, herdsmen. I mean, criminal Maximilian herdsmen. You're going to have all sorts of people. If you take your mind back a little bit, you see what that did to us in Niger Delta. When we silence the people in Niger Delta, when we say, look, whatever things they are talking about doesn't matter. I mean, the likes of Asari, Dokubo, Topolo, and so many other rules, and then, they cashed in on the fault lines, on the problem of the country, and we saw what that did to us. So you see, we have to respect democracy. If we say we're a democratic nation, then we should follow the rules. I don't have sympathy with the likes of Igbo. I feel they are opportunists. But, I would say that if you are dealing with any situation, you have to do so within the bounds of the law. And you are the one that created an opportunity for them to do whatever it is they are doing.
Okay, let's have it.
Yeah, I agree with my learned friend here. But interestingly, the government, like he said, has opened the floodgate for this kind of people to operate. Now, what is the problem? Why are these people operating? Everybody's calling secession. Why are they calling that? Because something is wrong.
Yeah.
The government has closed its eyes on things that it ought to do. Nnamdi Kanu from the southeast is asking for something. I mean, go to the southeast. I have said this countless times. Go to the southeast and see whether there's federal government presence there. Look at all the juicy appointments in the federal government. Look at it. It is skewed towards a particular area of the north. Come to the southwest, they also have their own problems. And so you bring out people, arresting Sunday Igboho or whoever it is, doesn't stop the problem. After all, Boko Haram had a leader before. I heard he died, the first leader of Boko Haram. Are they dead? Look, these guys are here to stay. If the government is not ready to deal with the problems of the country, there's serious nepotism, there's serious tribalism, in fact, this government has the greatest nepotism I've ever seen. And then they refuse to obey the rule of law. They refuse to obey the rule of law. Especially when you hear the Attorney General speak, you feel like crying. Because you start wondering which law he's looking at. So, we cannot, like he said again, who was there when they picked up all the arms and ammunition in his house? How do they testify that those things came from his house? The man was not there. So, would you just come out and say, we found this in your house? So, these are things that they need to look at. I don't know where they got their facts from, but really, looking at the video, you must certainly think that they are headsmen coming to attack him. So, except that the DSS and ex-headsmen are now working hand in hand, we don't know, but there is a problem that needs to be solved.
Now, what is the legal bound, where they're supposed to search your house? There's supposed to be a warrant, right?
Definitely, when you're searching the property, you're supposed to obtain a search warrant. And and then you go into the premises based on the search warrant, and you show it to the person who is there. To validate the fact that you have a search warrant. And apart from that, you have to ensure that you do your search within the bounds of the warrant. You can't go outside of the
is there any situation, let's just say for the benefit or for the case of national security, where the DSS can storm into your house?
Of course, globally, even in advanced societies, where there's an emergency, where it is believed that the person who is in occupation of the particular premises is not likely going to grant you access, and there's need to prevent an urgent situation.
So now
that can be possible.
Now that is the talking point. How do you know when the person is unlikely to grant you access?
You need to approach first civilly.
Okay.
You need to approach
and that means you have to bring the search warrant.
Yeah, you bring the search warrant. If the person resists you,
then you force.
And then you can begin to talk about using force. But from the scenario we have seen, there was no attempt at civility. It was just a case of people, just like they did to judges at some point. You go to their houses and pick them up like rats and animals. It's the same thing they're doing here. And this is not how to run a democracy. I mean, do they even have a recording of this whole thing? Because I know that I have done a lot of studies in UK law, for example, where we borrow our laws. The law requires you to even record all of these things. purposes. I mean, what you can, I don't know. Our laws
For court purposes?
Our laws are, yes. You know, because it should be subject to some other a subjective analysis. Somebody else should be able to review the process and see whether or not it was within the bounds of the law. But I don't think this was recorded. I think it was just a clandestine, whatever, like.
Because the recordings on social media are kind of like eyewitness, recording.
Exactly.
So,
you know, some time ago, the Lagos State government announced that they were going to be attaching videos in the police uniforms so that they can actually see the true position of things when it happens, so that when you complain, it can be looked at, the videos can be. It's simple. Why do these guys do things the wrong way? I mean, we should be asking ourselves this question. Why do they always create reasons for doubt? You burst into someone's house and you wake up the next morning and you say you found arms, ammunition, and charms. For God's sakes, even if really there were arms and ammunition, how do I believe that you did not plant it? Because it is what they are capable of doing, and the man was not in the house.
The story from them is that he was actually in the house.
How did they know?
He
turned to a pussycat.
Yeah,
Seriously?
his aides, the gun duel was kind of a distraction for him to escape.
So how did they know he was in the house?
Well, intelligence information, I guess.
In Nigeria, really?
You see, one thing I'm still looking at is, I haven't really seen any organized criminal activity by Igbo and his group. I haven't seen them carrying guns, for example, to harass people. I don't know, maybe that might be happening and it's not been captured, but I haven't really seen that. So if you want to deal with somebody like that, then you should go within the bounds of the law. Igbo is not a spirit. I mean, as some people are making us to believe. If you think he's doing what is wrong, what stops you from doing a legitimate and legal arrest or going, legally to search his premises?
Or inviting him.
Or invite him. All of these, what do you call it, media cycles, all of this, process of creating a scene by government and government agencies is really not the best way to address a serious issue such as what we have.
Now, of course, one aspect of the conspiracy theory is that the federal government did that to deter him from organizing the rally that held anyway. Yes,
well, yeah, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, that should be obvious enough. The attack on his premises was just a few days to do a planned rally. Before now, I understand they had done something similar in the past, but obviously it was because they wanted to. I mean, how do you want to prevent a rally? Is it by going to his house? A rally that was meant to happen in Lagos. You see, by law, when Nigerians are, going on a protest, the police, government has a duty, responsibility to protect them. Ensure that people they have security. Now, it is only when you see criminality being orchestrated in the process that you cannot move in and deal with the criminal elements, right? But you cannot just sit in Asuro and conclude that nobody can protest.
Now, there was a banter yesterday between journalists and the Commissioner of Police, where, according to information, the organizers of this protest sent a letter to the federal government. They sent a letter to the Commissioner of Police, a letter which the Commissioner of Police denied ever seeing.
You see, I mean,
that's what we're saying. They always create scenarios where people doubt them. Okay, assuming without conceding that the letter was not sent, and you notice the rally, which was supposed to be a peaceful rally, why are you fighting? Spraying hot water on them, have they actually caused any harm? Someone is saying, I do not want this thing, I don't want this thing. A rally is not a crime, for God's sakes. It is not a crime. Protest is not a crime.
Okay, now, but are there any procedure in organizing a protest or a rally? Because I'm trying to see where these rally organizers or protest organizers went wrong, for security agents, because this is not the first time. It happens over and over again. Of course, the high point of it was the NSAS protest, where people reportedly died. Are there procedures?
We have had this issue in the past where government will say, there was even a law at some point where they will say you have to apply to the Commissioner of Police, the state, for some permission to carry out the protest. And the courts have struck down those legislations. The courts
There were not legislations, in fact.
What policy, whatever.
Not legislations.
You know,
it is a right.
Yeah, the courts have said that
Guaranteed.
you don't need permission to protest, right? You don't need permission to carry on a peaceful protest. There's no, I can walk up tomorrow and go to a marketplace or anywhere and try to protest. I can write a banner.
And it will be legal?
It is legal. You do not need any procedure. You don't need to seek the leave of anybody to protest.
These things are enshrined in our constitution. You see, that's the problem with obeying the rule of law. We have said it several times here. Now, why would I want to protest and take permission from someone I'm protesting against? Do you think the person will allow me to
grant
it? It doesn't make sense. That's why I'm saying sometimes when you hear these things, you wonder who we are dealing with. Are these people thinking from the leg? Look, how can you write a commissioner of police who is influenced? He's coming to any state, is influenced by either the governor or someone that has political interest. Then you apply to him to protest against the government he's supposed to be serving. You find out that our security agencies are not independent. They work for, they don't work for Nigerians. They work for the politicians.
Or the government of the
or
day.
the government of the day. So how would I protest, write a letter to you asking to protest against the government that you probably feed fat from? I don't see it working. And the Constitution has said protest is a right. I can't be taking permission for a right that is given to me by law. There's no procedure.
So now, how do the protection come in, where in order to for the security agencies to make sure the protests happen peacefully?
So how did they know that the protest was going to happen?
Of course, the news was all over the place.
Which news?
Don't they need like a letter to write to the commissioner of
for protection?
Writing them,
for protection. They can do that.
If they wish.
It is optional.
I mean, it's not compulsory. They must ask for it. But the police are supposed to be out there. They're supposed to see whatever is happening. Whether you're in the marketplace or anywhere, when anything is happening that requires the gathering of people, the police are supposed to be there to provide security. You don't need to go and beg them to provide it all the time. I mean, if you want to have an organized rally on a massive scale such as this, I mean, common sense may tell you, look, ask the police to give you protection. But you know that alone already warned them, and that necessarily means that you might not be able to get the protests ongoing because they're going to come there and stop it, right? But you know, on a normal situation, if I'm walking on, do I need to invite police protection on the road? I don't need them.
And when the police has heard that there's going to be a protest, ordinarily they should stand by and ensure that there's peace during protest. So when, like he said, when they get the wind of criminal elements around them, they pick out the criminal elements and the protest continues. Not to stop the protest. These guys have a right to say, what is happening to me, I don't like it. Look, Nigeria belongs to everybody. Nobody is more Nigerian than any other Nigerian. So why should the police? Okay, I remember the last rally they had in Abuja. I can't remember the last, just some few days ago. And then you find out that the anti-Buhari rally, the police were after them.
That was the June 12 rally.
The June 12. Beating up all the people supporting Buhari, the police were happy with them.
So there were two kinds of rally. The one for the government
and the one anti. Why did you treat them differently?
Exactly.
Why did you allow the people pro-Buhari to have peace? The anti-Buhari who were not armed, you would disperse them. It doesn't make sense to me. And that's always the problem with Nigeria. Every time I hear that the police are the best in Africa, Nigeria, I keep wondering how they get this
maybe it's not
maybe not this one's on the screen. Okay, look at them arresting a guy, beating the guy for protesting, marching, stepping. Is that how it works?
And unfortunately, according to reports, a 14-year-old girl died in the process, and of course, the police have come out to debunk
that's standard
she died some days ago.
You see, this is one of the reasons why it's always good for the police to act within the bounds of the law. Shooting guns unnecessarily. I mean, I didn't hear anybody being beaten up by protesters. I didn't hear of any markets being attacked by protesters. I didn't hear of any pedestrian being attacked by protesters. Why do you have to shoot? And the process now, a young lady who had no business with the protest, who was looking for, I mean, who ordinarily shouldn't be in school, who should be protected by government. You know, because of the situation we have created in this country, she was unable to do so, and she's, you know, trying to fend for herself, and then now she has been killed. I mean, this is just tells you how callous we can be.
And typically the police will always say they are not the ones.
Exactly. You see the way police who carry guns all over the place, you know, sometimes you go to a restaurant and you want to eat and you see a police officer with the gun. I've traveled to other parts of the world. I've traveled to some other countries in the world, and I don't get to see police with guns. You know, maybe on some rare occasions you can see something that looks like a gun,
a pistol.
You know, like, but you can't see them carrying, you know, rifles,
AK-47
on the street when we are not at war. It is sad that young lady has been killed, and I can tell you, she's not going to get justice. The police has already denied it. And then they unknown government.
Okay, let's go to the flip side of the report where Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, was captured on Sunday, that's June 27. Of course, the news came in on Tuesday where